Even though the NFL has grown in popularity over the years, there have been quite a few blunders along the way. A few were by the league, and some by unfortunate individuals. The mishaps took place on and off the field, and one such embarrassing incident is the flop performance of the newest Superteam. For all the details on the LA Rams sighting and much more, keep watching. First up, what happened with the LA Rams? After snagging all of the spotlight once again with a daring free agency move, adding the fiery Odell Beckham Jr. to a fantastic lineup, the Los Angeles Rams failed yet again when it mattered. Sean McVay's team allowed the struggling San Francisco 49ers to move out to an early 14-0 lead thanks to two first-quarter interceptions by MVP candidate Matthew Stafford, and the 49ers eventually won 31-10 at home on Monday night. Last week, top receiver Robert Woods sustained a season-ending knee injury, but many believe the Rams would be fine because they had recently won the race to sign Beckham Jr., who had been released by Cleveland after several tough years. Beckham Jr. had 2 catches for 18 yards in his opening game with the Rams. It's also worth considering that he may never be able to completely replace the multi-talented Woods because their route trees are so distinct. Former Broncos star Von Miller also made his Rams debut and carried out 3 tackles. The major loss is the Rams' second in a row following their loss to the Titans without Derrick Henry on Monday night. They have only defeated 3 of the NFL's worst teams in the last 6 weeks: Detroit, Houston, and the New York Giants. The Rams are 7-3 in the NFC West, a game and a tiebreaker behind Arizona at 8-2, with a game against the NFC leading Packers following next week's bye. In the final 5 weeks of the season, Los Angeles faces divisional rematches with the Cardinals, Seahawks, and 49ers, as well as a cross-conference clash with AFC North leaders Baltimore, leaving little room for mistakes. It's an awkward situation for a team dubbed a super team by many experts. Given that the Rams have given up various first-round picks and trades to obtain veterans like the aforementioned trio of Stafford, Beckham Jr., and Miller, the Rams will reach the playoffs with Cooper Kupp developing into an elite receiver and future Hall of Famer Aaron Donald still running the defensive line, but they haven't exactly lived up to that heavy price tag. This may be the most recent embarrassment in the sport, but it certainly isn't the only one, or even the worst. Keep watching, because we're about to delve into some more cringe-worthy moments in the NFL. Next, an embarrassing move. Something that must come as a surprise to fans under the age of 30, LeBron James isn't the most despised person in Cleveland. The label will most likely always belong to former Cleveland Browns and Baltimore Ravens owner Art Modell. After promising not to move the Browns on several occasions and criticizing Robert Irsay for moving the Colts, he relocated the Browns to Baltimore in 1996. The owner left the team name, colors, and heritage behind, and the Cleveland Browns were reborn in 1999. Regrettably for Cleveland fans, the team has yet to regain its former glory as a brand new franchise, whereas the Baltimore Ravens have managed to win a Super Bowl. In the case of Modell, there is still a death watch on the internet set up in his honor. Next up, O.J. Simpson. This has to be the most humiliating moment in NFL history because it's one of the most heinous incidents in U.S. history. Simpson was a fantastic football player who became the first running back in history to rush for 2,000 yards in a single season. While a few still believe O.J. Simpson wasn't guilty of the murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman, there's no avoiding the fact the stain it left on the American society. In his murder trial, Simpson was found not guilty, but in a civil trial, he was found responsible for the deaths. From the instant Simpson was chased down the freeway in his infamous white Ford Bronco, to the relentless media coverage, to lawyer Johnny Cochran's taglines, to the ruling that split a nation, the cruel impact of those 26-year-old events is still widely felt. Despite being cleared of all charges of the murders in court, he was found guilty in the court of public opinion and has been shunned by mainstream society ever since. He's currently serving time in prison for armed robbery and kidnapping in connection with the dispute over sports memorabilia. The NFL has spent the last 25 years plus attempting to eradicate all traces of the former Buffalo Bill, with little success, some might say. Next, the Colts bolt. After failing to secure a new stadium in Baltimore, owner Robert Irsay decided to relocate the storied franchise to Indianapolis. He'd made a name for himself with how sneakily he did all this. Afraid that the franchise would be seized by the state authority, Mayflower moving trucks were sent out to the team's training complex at 2 a.m. on March 29, 1984. According to NFL Myth, each of the moving trucks actually took a different route out of Maryland in order to mislead the state police. If this doesn't sound like something out of a movie, we don't know what does. By 10 a.m., the Colts had left Baltimore, and this moment became one of our favorite embarrassing moments. Next up, the Patriots scandal. When your 3-time defending Super Bowl champion is busted for allegations of cheating, it's definitely not a good PR move for your league. However, that's exactly what happened when the New England Patriots were asked to give up a first-round draft pick, fined $250,000, and Coach Bill Belichick was fined an extra $500,000 for videotaping other teams' coaches' signals. The Patriots complied with a court order requiring them to turn over all videotapes and evidence. The materials were reviewed by the NFL before being destroyed. Several people, including U.S. Senator Arlen Specter, were perplexed as to why the materials had been damaged. Later, a Patriots video assistant told the press that he had documented documentation about New England filming the St. Louis Rams walkthrough practice ahead of Super Bowl 36. Now we have Yepremian's infamous pass. Yaro Yepremian blew the only shutout in Super Bowl history, deflecting attention away from the only undefeated NFL team in recent history. With the Miami Dolphins trailing the Washington Redskins 14-0 late in the game and just over 2 minutes remaining, Yepremian lined up for a field goal that would have provided Miami a 17-0 victory in a season in which they went 17-0. Instead, Bill Brundage of the Washington Redskins stopped the ball. Instead of falling on the ball, he picked it up and threw what was impossibly the worst pass in history. The ball escaped Yepremian's grasp and flew almost straight up into the air. Then Yepremian batted it up in the air right into the arms of Redskins cornerback Mike Bass, who returned it for a touchdown. The Dolphins won 14-7, but the play lives on in fans' head thanks to YouTube. Next up, the little-known tuck rule. The Oakland Raiders led the New England Patriots 13-10 late in the fourth quarter of the 2002 AFC Divisional Playoff game. Then, in the midst of a blizzard, controversy erupted. While the Patriots were driving, Raiders defensive back Charles Woodson collided with Patriots quarterback Tom Brady, causing him to drop the ball. Raiders linebacker Greg Biekert collided with the ball and was initially credited with a recovered fumble, effectively ending the game. The referees determined that the play would be ruled an incomplete pass because Brady was bringing the ball forward and then trying to bring it back down into his body. The referee cited a rule that absolutely no one had heard of at the time. After being given new life, the Patriots went on to win the game and ultimately the Super Bowl that year. The tuck rule still makes very little sense and hasn't been used since that questionable moment. And now we have the tragedy of Leon Lett. Leon Lett was a tremendously gifted football player, but he also had a habit of making some questionable decisions that cost his team a clean victory. In 1993, with the Dallas Cowboys leading the Buffalo Bills 52-17 in Super Bowl 27, Lett recovered the ball at the Bills' 45-yard line and jolted towards the end zone. However, as he approached the goal line, he slowed a bit and extended the ball out. Don Beebe, a Buffalo wide receiver, slapped the ball out of the end zone for a touchback instead of a touchdown. While the play had no effect on the game, it received as much television replay as the rest of the game combined. Lett's bad luck would continue the following season. On Thanksgiving Day in 1993, the Cowboys led the Miami Dolphins 14-13 with 15 seconds remaining in the game. Miami kicker Pete Stoyanovich had his 41-yard field goal attempt effectively blocked during a snowstorm. Lett strangely attempted to pick up the ball as it lay on the ice turf with his team member celebrating. He managed to slip on the ice, and Miami was able to recover the flubbed ball. If Lett had not made contact with the ball, Dallas would have naturally taken possession and won the game. As time expired, Stoyanovich booted his second attempt through the uprights, giving Miami a 16-14 victory. And that's a wrap for this video. What do you think of the flop signing for the alleged super team and what the future of the LA Rams will be? What's your top pick for the most embarrassing moment in the NFL? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. We'll see you in the next one.